Hello and welcome to the first Kubifaktorium progress report for 2019. I have a bit of a cold, so please excuse my voice, but nevertheless I want to convey to you the features I have been working on and the progress I have made towards completing Kubifaktorium. So I have properly implemented obstacles now. So let me show you some examples. So before, your colonists just used to walk through houses, workshops and so on. And now they will actually respect these as obstacles. So if I ask this guy to go here, he will actually go around. He will slightly be slowed down, but he will no longer walk through the house, but he will walk around it. And in fact, this is a bit unfortunate because the entrance is on the other side, but your colonists will also enter houses through their entrances when they go to sleep. So this house is a good example for a model where the whole object is an obstacle, so where your colonists cannot go through at all. Then there are things like these workshops. So if you look at this workshop, the colonist can still, go to the chair and so on, but he can no longer go through the table. So this is an example of a partial obstacle which you can make. And of course all of these features are also available if you want to add objects via modding. Finally, and probably the most important change is if you look at things like this train station. Your people will no longer clip through it, but instead they will walk on top of the platform, which is pretty great. So, next up, I have changed how tools work in the game and how tools benefit your people. So, first of all, let's have a look at the weapons, because I think there it is most obvious. So as you can see now, when you click on a tool, and a weapon is basically a tool, you can see that you have an additional panel over here. And here you can see the quality, which is poor in this case, and you can see the basic properties. And for a weapon it is pretty obvious. You have a damage property, so this weapon does 40 damage, you have a chance to hit, and you have a critical hit chance. For a weapon, this means that in 40% of the cases you just do not hit, so you do not damage in a certain weapon swing. And a critical hit chance is your chance to do double the damage. For shovels, so shovels are used for farm work, we basically have different properties. So here we have speed, which influences how fast your colonist will perform the task. So for example, how fast he or she will till a certain plot of land. And again, the chance to succeed. So there is also a chance to fail. So for example, if somebody is planting a crop, he or she can fail, and in that case the crop will not be planted and it has to be done again. Then we have the pickaxe. Here this is pretty much like the shovel, except that we have a critical success chance. And a critical success chance means that you basically get a bonus mineable object. So for example, if you mine a tree, you would get a bonus piece of wood if this critical hit chance procs. And for hammers, it's pretty much the same. So you may be wondering, these are all poor quality, how do you get good quality items? Well, basically you get good quality items by using an upgrade workshop and combining objects of lower quality. This is it is implemented mechanically, it's not balanced yet, so bear with me. But the basic idea is, for example, if you want to have a really good sword, you produce multiple of these, and you combine these into a higher quality sword. So if you have two poor quality swords, you would combine these to get one normal quality sword, and so on. And improving the quality will improve the base property, like the damage, but it will also increase the chance to hit as well as the critical hit chance. So I think it will be quite worth it in the later game to give your people upgraded weapons. The next new feature can best be shown using a screenshot, which is a new theme for the UI, the user interface. So before, basically we had rectangle boxes as backdrops for panels and so on. Now I have created a proper one which consists of of rounded edges. There's a little bit of space in between, there's a drop shadow in behind, there's also a slight yellowish border, so I think it looks much cleaner and much more consistent now. So this applies to the panels in the bottom right. It applies to tooltips like this. It also applies to these tool bars and also the bar on the top. It's a bit hard to see here, but there is a much cleaner transition between this panel and the main game. So there are still some bugs here, some text not fitting in quite right, but I think it is quite an improvement, and I'm quite happy with how it looks in the new version. Also, another change is that if you open a modal panel, like this main menu, the background is now darkened, so it is much easier to see. Also applies to things like the settler management. It's much easier to see what is the active element and what can I do when I have this screen open. So I think that is quite an improvement for the user interface. Then some ease of life improvements. So before, when you wanted to place a building or create a plot of land or so, farmland, you had to make sure that it was free of items. Now we no longer have to. So instead, we can just create a plot of farmland here, for example, and your people will come and they will take the thing that is in the way and move it out of the offending square. So this applies when you create farmland, but also when you place buildings. So I can just show you if you want to build a barn, for example. These squares where there are items on the floor no longer count as blocking, so you can just build on top of them. Next, coming along with the item quality thing, you can now filter by item quality. So if you look here, if you build a stockpile, for example, but this also applies to inserters and so on, you can basically say you want all qualities, like here, or let's say if you have like an upgrade workshop, maybe we only want to have the lowest qualities delivered here, or maybe we also want only the highest qualities, and so on. Okay, this brings me to the final section of this progress report, which is miscellaneous. So first of all, one thing which I cannot really show here, but I have upgraded the engine and the libraries Kubifaktorium uses. So I've upgraded to Unity 2018.3. I've upgraded to the new post-processing stack version 2. So things look slightly different, but we are up to date now what that is concerned. I've also updated the text mesh, which is should now be more capable of rendering foreign glyphs, like non-English text characters and so on. Then I have added a few new visual effects. and I'm just going to show you one here, which is the new effect when you expand your land. So let's create a bonfire here. Ready? Yeah. So basically, when you expand your territory, little particle blocks will emit from the land you have just gained, and I think it looks quite nice and rewarding. It's nothing special, of course, other games have done it too, but I still think it adds a lot to the atmosphere and makes it a more rewarding feeling to expand. Then I have added 5 new music tracks. So the music which was in the game before this patch was all from asset packs. It was music I liked a lot, but it was also rather generic music. Now I've added 5 new tracks which were made specifically for Kubifaktorium. So I'm quite happy with that and how those turned out. So one of these will surely be playing in the background now, but you can check out all of them in the game. Finally, and I have done some things to enhance what you can do with modding and to make it more convenient. So first of all, you can add sound effects now. So if you have a WAV file, you can add it to the game. You can add your own sounds for, animals, enemies, and so on. You can do reskinning. So you can, for example, if you're not happy with the graphic of the workshop, for example, the model, you can just swap out the model without having to do any code editing or, any changing to the existing XML files. You can also override only certain parts of objects. So for example, what was a good example? Let's say you have the barn where animals sleep and you want to make it so that people can get milk from that workshop. Then you could just add the property of an automatic workshop to the barn. So you can just do that via modding now. There's also a mod screen in the main menu where the user can select and deselect the mods he or she wants to use. And finally, a big quality of life improvement for everybody working on mods is that I have added a XML documentation file, a scheme documentation over here. And if you have an editor which supports these, you can now get live suggestions and auto-completions. So for example, if we want to add a new block here, you can immediately see what is available. So for example, let's create an actor info. You get a little description here, behavior information for colonists, enemies and animals. So let's add one here. And now if you want to add a new attribute, you can just see a list of all that are available. Alongside here the description, what type you have to supply, if it is true by default, and so on. So for example, if you want to make this an actor that drinks, I don't know, oil or something, you can just do it like this, and so on. So I think it's really pretty straightforward. It's also useful because you get these hints if there is something which is missing. You get, for example, if you have a typo, it is highlighted in red, and so on. Of course, depending on the editor you use, but I think there should be some editors which are free, which are available out there, which you can use to get this type of auto-completion and context awareness. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this first part of the progress report, I guess. Like I said, there is a part on my roadmap coming up and a part on performance coming up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you guys soon.